Hello friends, as we all aware about the national symbols of our India, today we'll just put some light on the Goan symbol or a Goa's pride. And when we talk about Goa, the western side of Goa is full with beaches and it is famous for a sea, sand and sunset. And of course, Goa is very much famous for its fish curry and rice. So when you talk about fish, then because Goans, this is mouth-watery delicacy, and the state fish of Goa is your mullet. That is your front flat-headed mullet. It is commonly called as shoto. And every state has symbolized their own identity. And when you talk about the eastern side of Goa is lush green forest. So to understand about the lush green forest and this diversity and their importance, so our Goa state also has declared some of the symbols, such as our state tree of Goa is your crocodile bark tree. It is Terminella tomentosa. It is commonly called as Mattia or Madat. Then we have state bird of Goa, that is flame-throated or ruby-throated yellow bulbul. Pygnonotus melanaterus is something in commonly we call in Konkani Puro bulbul. Then we have a state animal of Goa, that is your Bos gorus, bison or gore. In Konkani we saying it is Goa reda or Goa. Then we also have the state butterfly now. And Goa is very happily we announced this year that our state butterfly of Goa is Malabar tree nymph, and is very much important for us. Maybe because of its graceful flight under the canopy, it has declared as our state butterfly of Goa, that is Malabar tree nymph, Idea malabarica. Commonly it is called as paper kite, depend upon the flight. So today we have a very special person, an educator as well as researcher based on Goa. Right now he is assistant professor in government college. He is appointed specially to work on statistics and other research, of course. And let us interact with him and ask him some questions, and let us learn from each other so that we can spread his knowledge. And this is the special our mission and ambition, or you can say objective, to conduct this particular interview.
Thank you so much.
I'm just wanted to say hi to Dr. Pranay Vaidya. He is based in Goa and he is moved around all the states all around our India for the research.
Yeah.
So welcome to my episode.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So we are very much happy this year that in Goa there is a panel of discussion has declared that our state butterfly of Goa. So which is the state butterfly of Goa?
So the Malabar tree nymph, that's Idea malabarica, that's been declared as the state butterfly of Goa. It's a very interesting species because first of all it's a monotypic species. For example, in the genus Idea, that's the only species that exists in the world, and also it belongs to the family Nymphalidae, which is one of the largest families of butterflies in India. So the Malabar tree nymph has been declared as a state butterfly by the Honorable Chief Minister during the Bird Festival of Goa, which was held in Shillong this year.
Yeah. Okay. When I talk about neighboring state, the Karnataka basically, the Karnataka is declared the state bird of Karnataka is your southern birdwing.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you talk about the neighboring our state, Maharashtra, they also declared that blue Mormon is the state bird of Maharashtra. And now, why only Malabar tree nymph is declared by Goa as a state butterfly?
Yeah, the process of declaring the state butterfly of Goa was very unique. Probably one of the most unique processes that happened in the country as far as my knowledge goes. If you look at the entire process, a committee of 6 expert members was constituted under the chairpersonship of the Chief Wildlife Warden. And then there were 6 expert members, all inclusive, and they first shortlisted 5 species of butterflies. Those were the commander, the clipper, the blue oak leaf, the Malabar tree nymph, and the Indian Jezebel.
Okay.
Now, these 5 butterflies were shortlisted based on several factors. For example, whether they are endemic or not, what is their ecological status, what is their legal status, and what is their importance in our culture, in our tradition, if any exists, that is. And then these 5 species were shortlisted initially.
Okay.
After these 5 species were shortlisted, to make it a truly democratic process, what they did is they opened up this for discussion amongst 100 subject experts. So 100 subject experts from Goa were identified, and I helped the committee to come up with a star rating based system, which was then circulated among these 100 subject experts. These subject 100 experts then rated the butterfly species of their choice between 1 to 5. And in case they had any other opinions about the 5 species, or they wanted to suggest something else, there was an option for that as well. So out of the 100, 63 people responded back to that star rating based survey. And not just subject experts, we also wanted to make it truly open for the public to participate, to make it a truly democratic process. So we circulated an online polling platform, polling platform to everyone, and everyone who wanted to vote, or wanted to take ownership of trying to decide or give their opinion about what the state butterfly should be, also participated in this initiative. Yeah. And about 800 plus people participated in this, and unanimously, in majority, everyone wanted the Malabar tree nymph to be seen as the state symbol and the state butterfly of Goa. So then, taking that into cognizance, the committee also unanimously decided that that should be the state butterfly, and then recommended that to the Honorable Chief Minister, who then declared the Malabar tree nymph as the state butterfly during the bird festival.
Yeah. Very nice to hear about. Based upon the ratings and the opinion poll, it is concluded that Malabar tree nymph is the state butterfly of Goa. Yeah, very nice thing. I think you said 800 people is joined to you regarding this poll to select the particular butterfly. All are from Goa or outside Goa?
So we also had a system to find out how many people are from Goa and how many people are giving their opinion from outside Goa. Yeah. And about 85% people were from the state of Goa who polled, and there were several who were from neighboring states who were very much into Goa's ecology and environment, and were concerned about Goa's ecology and environment and had knowledge. So these were all concerned people, knowledgeable people who took part in the survey. And to add, the forest department also came up with another initiative to make it even more widespread. They had given the same opinion poll to general public who are visiting various protected areas. Okay. So the checkpost at Madai, at Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary, at Bondla, at Dr. Salim Ali Wildlife Sanctuary, at Netrawali, and at Kotegaon, at all these PAs, this survey form was kept, and whoever was visiting, they were also given a small introduction as to why this exercise is being done, and even their opinion was taken into account. So it was a very all-inclusive method that was used to get opinions from people. Probably the first that has happened in this country.
Yeah, correct. So that means you said that along with naturalist, the forest officials also are involved in this particular selection.
Yeah, so the forest department is the nodal agency to do this. So it is of course the forest department who coordinated the entire process and also took this to the public through the online platform and through offline platform in various protected areas. So it was a very all-inclusive process.
Yeah, okay, very nice to hear about. And you rightly said about protected areas, and you also mentioned about some of the wildlife sanctuaries in Goa. For viewers, I want to tell you that right now we are at the Madhe Wildlife Sanctuary, and the location here is we call as Nanoda Bambar Sacred Grove, and this is one of the informal protected area. And we are very much happy to come here and shoot. Why? Because at the moment we enter, we have seen the state butterfly which is flying like a paper. That's the reason why it is called a paper kite. So we are also very much happy to be shoot in this location. I think I want to ask question to Dr. Pranav that why this particular butterflies, or maybe what are the specific locations of this butterfly in the state?
Yeah, so there are several, as you rightly said, Dr. Devidas, there are several reasons why the Malabar tree nymph was actually preferred by several experts. The first thing is it's a near threatened species. That is the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, typically called IUCN. It's a international organization which makes this red data list of species which are threatened. So under that, the Malabar tree nymph is recognized as near threatened, and it needs conservation intervention for protecting the species. That is number one. Number two is it's a very good indicator species of riparian habitats. That is, the species can be found only in very good riparian habitats, that is habitats which have streams, perennial streams with very good understory vegetation there, and they are host plant. The forest agnosma, Agnosma cymosa, that's one of the major host plant of this species. So the Malabar tree nymph is a very good indicator of riparian habitats, undisturbed riparian habitats, which is a very good feature of most of our protected areas, and especially so in Madai Wildlife Sanctuary, which is probably one of the most important watersheds of Goa. Of course, the entire Western Ghats stretch is, but Madai is very special, I think, in the hearts of Goa, and the Malabar tree nymph is a mascot of this kind of a habitat. So that is one thing I think which was very important when most of the experts gave their star ratings for this species. And of course, the fascinating behavior of the species, it just effortlessly glides in the canopy, and it looks very amazing when the species just keeps its wing open and glides through the forest canopy as if it's a paper which is floating through. And it's very stark looking butterfly. It's black and white, it's like a zebra, and then I don't think anyone can misidentify this species with anything else. So a combination of all of these factors was, I think, responsible for why the Malabar tree nymph was actually chosen by not just the experts but also the public. Coming to where you see it within Sattari Taluka, I think most of the very good riparian habitats, be it right now where we are, or be it at Brahmakarmari, be it in streams in Chorla, or be it in Satre, no matter where you go, wherever there is clean water and good undisturbed forest vegetation, especially understory vegetation, this species is going to be seen there.
Yeah, okay. You've at least taken some of the locations such as Satre, you said. You also said that Brahmakarmari, Ajapachira, there is again a water body there.
Yeah.
So the water and the host plants, so both these is combination required for the particular butterfly to be there in the particular location.
Yes.
Yeah. So our viewer want to know that which is the specific host plant which is identified as the permanent host plant, or maybe a commonly host plant found in the area.
Yeah, as I mentioned, the forest agnosma, Agnosma cymosa is one of the major host plants of this species, the Malabar tree nymph. There is also another species that was recently described, but we do not know very clearly if the other host plant is also found in Goa. So there is a lot of study that needs to be done for this species, in the sense, of course, the life cycle of this species has been done by people who study life cycle, by researchers who do life cycle studies of butterflies, but a lot of more exploration and study need to go into identifying its specific host plants. For example, this new description of another species of host plant has come from Kerala, but we don't know whether that is true for the rest of the Western Ghats stretch as well, because the distribution goes just north of Goa in Maharashtra and all the way to the south. So there is a lot of gap still remaining for people to explore and understand what other host plants are there. For example, several studies have said that there could be even more host plants that could be there for this species, but information is still lacking. So I think there is a very good opportunity for young students and researchers to go out there and study and explore.
Correct. Sir, you are rightly mentioned some of the names in Sattari, especially Satre, Brahmakarmari, and right now where we are standing is a Nanada Bambar, is a Devrai, Sacred Grove, where the host plants are there, which are based upon the host plant, the butterfly is sighted here. I want to ask a further question that is there any other locations apart from Taluka Sattari where the student can come or nature lover can come and see and explore the state butterfly of Goa?
Yeah. So right from the protected area in Kotigaon all the way till Madai, there are several very good riparian habitats where this species is found. As I said, all you need is the right habitat and the host plant for this species to be there. And not just the protected areas, there are several places outside PAs in Goa where these species are found. For example, even outside Kotigaon, even outside Netravali, the wildlife sanctuary, even outside Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary, in between Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary and Bondla, areas which are outside Tamdisulla. Even if we take Madai, all these regions which are, for example, the Keri village, areas near Keri village. Keri is outside Madhe Wildlife Sanctuary. Poriya, Ravan, all these areas, which are even villages where there are very good, riparian water bodies, and sometimes even within betel nut plantations. Madians is a plantation, asa. Even within that plantation, sometimes the host plant is there. So even in that location, the Malabar tree nymph is there. And I'm sure most of the people living around the forests in the foothills of the Western Ghats in Goa have 100% seen this species, because it is very specific and it is very typical. So it is there all over Goa. All we need is to have that eye for wildlife, and I think we can easily spot this species.
Yeah, correct. So you said that your athlete said that basically any common people will not find this particular butterfly, because the butterfly is very fascinating because of his flight, and now he has to have eye. So to have eye, he has to think, because your eye doesn't see if your mind doesn't know.
Right.
That person should be naturalist and he should be nature lover. That person only can able to sight this particular bird's butterfly species. There are so many nature lovers come to Goa. Goa is a tourist destination, and they come, they enjoy. Of course, there's that fundamental right, and people has to come to Goa and they have to explore so many things. Not only about the protected areas or maybe wildlife sanctuaries or maybe villages for hinterland tourism. Even other places they can visit. But after leaving that particular place, there are a lot of litter found everywhere. So whenever a person like you and other researcher or maybe a student or naturalist, they have wanted to go for a study, they feel little upset about this. You want to put some light on this particular thing?
Yeah, so I think everyone has the right and freedom to explore our nature and natural resources. No doubt about that, as you rightly said. But I think it's also our duty to make sure that the places that we visit are, kept the way we visit it. For example, if I go to a habitat which is untouched, I need to make sure that I leave that place undisturbed, because I am a guest in that habitat. The habitat is not my guest. So when I am a guest in someone's house, I will not dirty or soil that place. The same applies to hinterland tourism or nature-based tourism as well. So in this case, when I go to a natural habitat or a forest or anywhere, say a waterfall or even a beach, as a matter of fact, doesn't matter where I go. It is the responsibility of every citizen of this country to make sure that we do not disturb the habitat, because it is not just us who live on this world. There are several other organisms that live in this world, and if we pollute that area or if we spoil that area with our garbage, I think it's going to adversely affect us, because the water that is coming to us for drinking purpose is actually being caught in these kinds of habitats. So if I dirty this habitat, it is the same plastic that is going to come into my plate tomorrow or in my glass tomorrow. So life is a cycle. So I think my karma is going to come back to me.
Correct.
So I think it's very obvious, and then it is, and I want to really use this platform to make this humble appeal to everyone who is viewing this video, that if you are going to any natural place or if you are going anywhere, as a matter of fact, please make sure not to litter. And even if you are going to do a picnic, you have a lot of plastic waste or any solid waste, please pack it up, please get it to your house, and then please dispose it of responsibly, so that you can leave a better future for the next generation.
Yeah, correct. So whatever is untouched, we cannot have, we cannot touch the particular place. Yeah, right. You rightly said that karma come back to us, because whatever you do, it comes back to us. And there are a lot of issues now regarding microplastic which are going on. Now, the last question I want to ask, Doctor, you said that the Malabar tree nymph is a near threatened butterfly species, and you also included that it comes in the red list. So, and when you talk about ecology, of course, ecology is a vast topic, and the environment too. There are a lot of places where the study has to be not had happened, or something is not yet explored, or there is research has not been done. So you want to give message to the naturalist or maybe a nature lover or maybe educationalist, that which are the topics which is lacunae or where you can do your work.
Sure. Thanks for this question. It's very important because Goa is a treasure trove of information. If you look at the history of biodiversity studies in Goa in particular, it has lagged behind rest of the country. For example, in rest of the country, the Britishers were very actively involved in natural history research for whatever purpose it was. But somehow Goa lagged behind, and after liberation, Goa started picking up. So we are still about 20-30 years behind and what is there in the rest of the country. So I think it's a great opportunity. Instead of seeing it as a negative setback, I think it's a great opportunity for students in Goa to pick up wildlife and ecology and environment based study and research from their school level all the way till their research at the postgraduate level. So I think it's a broad opportunity that exists in front of us, right from studying about small microorganisms like phytoplanktons and zooplanktons and freshwater body, all the way till the mega life forms like this nice lovely Myristica tree that is behind us. So I think the field is vast open, and there are several unanswered questions about ecology. For example, why is it that certain species exist somewhere? Why is it that we find this kind of Myristica swamps only here and not elsewhere? What drives these kinds of communities to be structured the way they are? What drives a particular species of bird to behave in certain way? Is climate change affecting the nesting patterns of birds? Is human intervention causing invasive species of plants to come in? Is invasive species of plants then further causing physiochemical changes of soil around it? So I think the questions are unlimited, and it's just up to our imagination. And a lot needs to be done, and I think the Goa government, the Department of Education and the Departments of Science and Technology are providing a very good platform for students to take all of it, and of course really motivated teachers like you who are there at the grassroots levels, who are trying to motivate students. I think that's what is the need of the hour. So I think I want to use this platform again to tell all the teachers and all the educators like me out there, this is the right time to motivate students to take up these kinds of activities right from the school level. It can be a very small project as well, and that small seed that teachers put in the mind of children at that small age can become like this big tree in the future. So I think we play a very important part in nation building, and all of that is being taught by Mother Nature, which is the ultimate teacher.
Yeah, very nice session actually, Dr. Pranav Vaidya. When you was just talking about Lekini and where the student has to learn in different topics, it start from microorganism, which we cannot see directly by the eyes, with the naked eyes. We require microscopic, till the macro elements, starting from the small planktons such as big whale, plants. There are huge topic actually, and each topic you mentioned, right, like climate change and global warming, the carbon footprints. So every topic is to be debated, and the topic is very vast. And to conclude this, I would like to just tell you about what are the message you would like to give to the society, so that the student like me. So being a teacher, I am very much proud that I want to share whatever knowledge I have. Whatever knowledge we have to impart this knowledge to young generation, so that they also will contribute to us, and they will also contribute to nature. And of course, we are spreading a knowledge about this, and we are trying to spread information, and you will like to give a message to the society to be in touch with the environment. And of course, Nature Lover will try to safeguard this particular environment. And as a last question of this interview, I would like to tell you that what is the message you would like to give to young generation, so that they will come to this field and they will try to explore whatever is untouched.
Yeah. So I want to answer this in two parts. One is for students who are young, and of course for teachers like you and me and all my colleagues out there who are also young. Dil to bacha hai ji, and I would believe that. The first thing is, we as teachers need to be a candle, a source of light towards which moths flock. Our students are untouched minds, who will flock towards knowledge, who will flock towards enthusiasm, who will flock towards the opportunities that we as teachers provide them. So I think the first thing that I would want to appeal to everyone here is to be that motivation, be that candle, be that light, so that students flock to you, and then you show them the path towards their future. Not everyone needs to become a scientist, not everyone needs to become a, whatever they want to be. Everyone can be whatever they want to be, but at the end of the day, if they have the love and affection towards their environment, towards their nature, I think every single action counts. If our students in the future have the sense to segregate their waste, have the sense to conserve electricity, have the sense to conserve water, I think the tigers of Madhe will be safe. They really don't have to do much about it. They can just do these simple kinds of things. And for the students, unplug your mobiles once in a while, come and explore the forest, come and explore the wild spaces. PUBG aple jagar bare asa, but then come enjoy the forests of Goa or wherever it is that you are in. Look at the beautiful birds, the insects, the trees, the animals, and I think that is priceless. You know, you could always do things that you do on your electronic media,
Yeah.
but then things like connecting with the environment, with the nature, I think is priceless, and that you will start appreciating once you grow older, and you would have lost the opportunity. So make the right use of the opportunity, and we in Goa are so blessed that nature is so bountiful. You know,
Yeah, correct.
let it be Panjim or let it be Valpoi. I think every place in Goa is blessed, and we are blessed with biodiversity and wildlife and good natural elements. So it's a humble request to all students: go out, explore, have fun, and enjoy.
Yeah. Dr. Pranav, you have rightly mentioned that Goa is one of the richest biodiversity with flora and fauna, and it is compared with Amazon and Congo basin. I think this is a great opportunity for us. We have to safeguard our natural resources. Friends, you are contaminating your own bed. So try to safeguard our nature and try to keep our mother nature safe. Thank you for watching.